Top 25 Penetration Tester Interview Questions and Answers. In the ever-evolving field of cybersecurity, penetration testing plays a crucial role in identifying vulnerabilities in systems. This video focuses on the top 25 interview questions and answers that aspiring penetration testers should be familiar with. Candidates will gain insights into key concepts, methodologies, and practical skills essential for success in penetration testing interviews. By preparing with these questions, viewers can enhance their confidence and improve their chances of landing a role in this competitive industry. 1. What is penetration testing, and how does it differ from vulnerability scanning? Penetration testing is a simulated cyber attack against a computer system to identify and exploit vulnerabilities. It goes beyond identifying weaknesses by actively attempting to breach security defenses. Unlike vulnerability scanning, which primarily focuses on identifying known vulnerabilities without exploitation, penetration testing involves a hands-on approach. This process includes planning, scanning, gaining access, and reporting. While vulnerability scanning provides a list of potential issues, penetration testing offers a deeper understanding of the risks by demonstrating how those vulnerabilities can be exploited in real-world scenarios. 2. Can you explain the different phases of a penetration test? Penetration testing typically involves several key phases. 1. Planning and preparation. Defining the scope, rules of engagement, and objectives of the test. 2. Reconnaissance. Gathering information about the target to identify potential attack vectors. 3. Scanning. Actively probing the target for vulnerabilities using various tools and techniques. 4. Exploitation. Attempting to exploit identified vulnerabilities to gain unauthorized access or control. 5. Post-exploitation. Assessing the extent of the breach, maintaining access, and gathering additional information. 6. Reporting. Documenting findings, including vulnerabilities, exploitation methods, and recommendations for remediation. This structured approach ensures a thorough evaluation of security posture. 3. Describe the OWASP Top 10 and its significance in penetration testing. The OWASP Top 10 is a curated list of the most critical security risks to web applications, regularly updated by the Open Web Application Security Project. It serves as a guideline for organizations to understand common vulnerabilities such as SQL injection, cross-site scripting, XSS, and insecure deserialization. By educating developers and security professionals about these risks, the OWASP Top 10 enhances awareness and encourages the implementation of secure coding practices. In penetration testing, it guides testers in identifying and prioritizing vulnerabilities effectively, ensuring a focused and efficient assessment of security posture. 4. What tools do you commonly use for penetration testing, and why? In penetration testing, I commonly utilize tools such as Burp Suite for web application testing due to its powerful features like intercepting proxy and vulnerability scanning. Nmap is essential for network scanning and port detection, providing insights into the target surface. For exploitation, Metasploit is invaluable for its extensive database of exploits and automation capabilities. Additionally, Wireshark helps analyze network traffic. Each tool serves a specific purpose, enhancing efficiency and accuracy in identifying vulnerabilities and assessing security postures. 5. How would you perform reconnaissance on a target? Reconnaissance involves gathering as much information as possible about the target before attempting any penetration testing. This can be divided into two phases: active and passive reconnaissance. Passive reconnaissance includes techniques such as searching for publicly available information, analyzing social media profiles, and using tools like WHOIS for domain registration details. Active reconnaissance may involve direct interaction with the target, such as port scanning or network mapping. Tools like Nmap and Recon can aid in collecting information about the target's infrastructure, services, and potential vulnerabilities. Such data helps inform further testing strategies. 6. Explain the concept of social engineering and provide an example of how it can be used in penetration testing. Social engineering involves manipulating individuals into divulging confidential information or performing actions that compromise security. It exploits human psychology rather than technical weaknesses. An example in penetration testing could involve a tester posing as a tech support representative and calling an employee to request their login credentials under the pretext of a system upgrade. This tactic demonstrates how easily sensitive information can be obtained through trust and deception, highlighting the importance of educating users about security awareness. 7. What is SQL injection, and how would you test for it in a web application? SQL injection is a code injection technique that exploits vulnerabilities in an application software by manipulating SQL queries. Attackers can inject malicious SQL statements into an entry field, enabling them to access, modify, or delete data in the database. To test for SQL injection, begin by identifying input fields, for example, login forms, search boxes. Use special characters such as apostrophes, semicolons, winking face, or comments to observe how the application responds. Tools like SQL Map can automate this process by attempting various payloads. Monitoring error messages and analyzing response behavior helps determine vulnerability levels. Always conduct testing in a controlled environment with appropriate permissions. 8. Can you write a simple Python script to automate the process of checking for open ports on a target IP address? Import socket, def check _open ports, target _IP, port _range. Open ports equals, for port and port _range, sock equals socket, socket, af _inet, sock _stream. Sock. Set timeout, 1, #set timeout for socket connection. Result equals sock, connect _x, target _IP, port. If result equals 0, open ports, append, port, sock, close, return open ports, #example usage, target _IP equals 192.168.1.1 inches replace with target IP address. Port _range equals range, 1, 1025, check ports from 1 to 1024. Open ports equals check open ports, target IP, port range. Print, f, open ports on, target IP, open ports. This script utilizes Python's socket library to check for open ports on a specified target IP address. It iterates over a range of ports and attempts to connect to each one, recording any that respond successfully. Adjust the target IP variable and the port range as needed for your specific testing scenario. The output will list all open ports found within the defined range. 9. Describe how you would exploit a cross-site scripting (XSS) vulnerability. Exploiting a cross-site scripting (XSS) vulnerability involves injecting malicious scripts into a web application that can be executed in a user's browser. First, identify an input field or URL parameter that reflects user input without proper sanitization. Craft a payload, such as a simple JavaScript alert or a more sophisticated script that steals cookies or session tokens. Submit the payload and observe if it is executed. If successful, you can escalate the attack by targeting users to steal sensitive information or manipulate their sessions. Always demonstrate the exploit in a controlled environment and report it responsibly. 10. What is the purpose of the Metasploit framework, and how do you use it in penetration testing? The Metasploit framework serves as a powerful tool for penetration testing, offering a comprehensive suite for developing and executing exploit code against a target. Users can leverage its extensive database of known vulnerabilities and exploits to assess security weaknesses in systems. During a penetration test, one can utilize Metasploit to automate tasks such as reconnaissance, exploitation, and post-exploitation. Its modular design allows for easy customization, enabling testers to craft specific attacks or payloads tailored to the unique environment they are assessing. This efficiency enhances the effectiveness of penetration testing engagements. 11. How do you handle and report findings from a penetration test? After conducting a penetration test, findings are documented in a detailed report. This report typically includes an executive summary, which outlines critical issues for management, and a technical section for IT teams. Each finding is categorized by severity, with recommendations for remediation. I ensure that sensitive information is handled appropriately and that the report is clear and understandable for non-technical stakeholders. A debriefing session is often held to discuss findings and answer questions, fostering a collaborative approach to addressing vulnerabilities. 12. What is the difference between black box, white box, and gray box testing? Black box testing involves testing a system without any knowledge of its internal workings. Testers focus on inputs and outputs, simulating an external attacker's perspective. White box testing provides full access to the internal code and architecture, enabling testers to identify vulnerabilities by examining the software from within. Gray box testing is a hybrid approach where testers have partial knowledge of the internal structure. This allows for targeted testing based on some understanding of the system while still simulating an external attacker's behavior. Each method serves different testing goals and scenarios. 13. Can you explain what a buffer overflow is and how it can be exploited? A buffer overflow occurs when a program writes more data to a buffer than it can hold, causing adjacent memory locations to be overwritten. This vulnerability can lead to unpredictable behavior, including crashes or execution of malicious code. Attackers exploit buffer overflows by crafting inputs that exceed the buffer size, often injecting shellcode to gain control over the program's execution flow. By carefully manipulating return addresses or function pointers, an attacker can redirect execution to their injected code, compromising system security. Proper bounds checking and using languages that manage memory automatically can mitigate this risk. 14. How would you test for insecure direct object references, IDOR? To test for insecure direct object references, IDOR, first identify endpoints that expose user-controlled parameters, such as IDs in URLs or form inputs. Analyze the application's access control mechanisms by manipulating these parameters. For example, change an ID in a URL from one user's resource to another's and observe the response. If unauthorized data is accessible, IDOR exists. Utilize automated tools to scan for these vulnerabilities, but manual testing is crucial for thoroughness. Always verify findings by attempting to access the data without proper authorization. 15. What is the role of encryption in web applications, and how would you test its effectiveness? Encryption plays a critical role in web applications by protecting sensitive data, such as user credentials and payment information, from unauthorized access. It ensures data integrity and confidentiality during transmission and storage. To test its effectiveness, one can perform various assessments, including checking for the use of strong encryption algorithms, e.g., AES, verifying the implementation of HTTPS, and inspecting SSL per teraliter S configurations. Additionally, assessing the encryption of stored data and testing for vulnerabilities like weak ciphers or insecure key management practices is essential for ensuring robust security measures. 16. How do you ensure that your penetration testing activities comply with legal and ethical standards? Compliance with legal and ethical standards during penetration testing involves several critical steps. First, obtaining explicit written consent from the organization before beginning any testing is essential. This ensures that all activities are authorized and legal. Second, understanding relevant laws and regulations governing cybersecurity practices, including data protection laws, is crucial. Following established guidelines, such as those from OWASP and NIST, helps maintain ethical standards. Finally, conducting thorough pre-engagement discussions with stakeholders to clarify the scope and limitations of testing ensures transparency and aligns expectations. 17. What is a reverse shell, and how would you establish one during a penetration test? A reverse shell is a type of shell where the target machine opens a connection back to the attacker's machine, allowing remote control. To establish a reverse shell during a penetration test, you typically need to create a listener on your machine using tools like Netcat. On the target, you would execute a command that connects to your listener, often using a payload written in scripting languages like Bash or Python. This enables you to execute commands on the target system as if you were physically present, facilitating deeper exploration and exploitation of vulnerabilities. 18. Can you explain the concept of privilege escalation and provide an example? Privilege escalation refers to the process of exploiting a vulnerability in a system to gain elevated access to resources that are normally protected from an application or user. For example, an attacker may start with a standard user account and exploit a vulnerability in the operating system or application to gain administrative privileges. A common example is when a user can execute code with higher privileges due to a misconfigured service or a software bug, allowing them to access sensitive files or perform unauthorized actions on the system. 19. What are the different types of penetration testing assessments, e.g., internal, external, wireless? Penetration testing assessments can be categorized into several types. Internal assessments evaluate the security posture from within an organization, simulating an insider threat. External assessments focus on identifying vulnerabilities from outside the network, including internet-facing applications. Wireless assessments target wireless networks to uncover weaknesses in Wi-Fi security protocols. Other types include web application testing, which checks for vulnerabilities specific to applications, and social engineering tests, which assess human factors in security by attempting to manipulate individuals into compromising information or access. 20. What is the difference between active and passive reconnaissance? Active reconnaissance involves directly interacting with the target system or network, such as sending requests to gather information, scanning for open ports, or probing for vulnerabilities. This method can alert the target to the presence of an attacker. In contrast, passive reconnaissance entails gathering information without direct interaction, using publicly available data like WHOIS databases, social media, or network traffic analysis. This approach helps collect intelligence discreetly, minimizing the risk of detection while providing valuable insights into the target's security posture. 21. How do you prioritize vulnerabilities in a penetration testing report? Prioritizing vulnerabilities involves assessing their potential impact and exploitability. A common approach is to use the Common Vulnerability Scoring System, CVSS, which rates vulnerabilities based on factors like exploitability, impact on confidentiality, integrity, and availability. High-severity vulnerabilities that are easily exploitable receive the highest priority. Additionally, considering the context of the target environment, such as critical assets or compliance requirements, helps in determining urgency. Reporting should clearly categorize vulnerabilities into high, medium, and low priorities, facilitating effective remediation planning. 22. What is the OSI model, and why is it important for penetration testing? The OSI, Open Systems Interconnection, model is a conceptual framework used to understand network communication. It consists of 7 layers: physical, data link, network, transport, session, presentation, and application. Each layer serves specific functions and interacts with the layers above and below it. Understanding the OSI model is crucial for penetration testing as it helps identify potential vulnerabilities at each layer. By knowing how protocols operate, testers can exploit weaknesses effectively, whether in network configurations, application logic, or session management. This knowledge enables more targeted testing and remediation strategies. 23. What are some common methods for bypassing firewalls during a penetration test? Bypassing firewalls can involve several techniques. One method is using tunneling protocols, such as SSH or VPNs, to encapsulate traffic and evade detection. Another approach is exploiting misconfigured firewall rules, such as allowing traffic from specific IP ranges. Additionally, attackers may utilize port knocking, where they send a series of connection attempts to closed ports to open a specific port for communication. Another technique is to leverage HTTP or DNS tunneling, disguising malicious traffic as legitimate web or DNS requests. Each of these methods requires careful planning and understanding of the network's architecture. 24. How would you add security measures to a website? To add security measures to a website, start by implementing HTTPS to encrypt data in transit. Regularly update software, plugins, and dependencies to patch vulnerabilities. Conduct input validation and sanitize user inputs to prevent SQL injection and cross-site scripting. XSS attacks. Employ a web application firewall, WAF, to filter and monitor HTTP traffic. Additionally, implement strong password policies and use multi-factor authentication for user accounts. Regular security audits and penetration testing should also be conducted to identify and remediate potential vulnerabilities effectively. 25. Can you tell me about a significant security vulnerability you have found and how you handled it? During a recent penetration test, I discovered a critical SQL injection vulnerability in an e-commerce application. This flaw allowed unauthorized access to the database, potentially exposing sensitive customer data. I prioritized this finding due to its severity and the potential impact on the business. Upon identification, I immediately reported it to the development team, providing detailed steps to reproduce the vulnerability and suggested remediation strategies, such as using parameterized queries and implementing input validation. After the fix was applied, I confirmed the vulnerability was resolved through retesting. As we've explored the top 25 penetration tester interview questions and answers, it's clear that being well prepared can significantly enhance your chances of success in landing a role in this field. Understanding both technical skills and soft skills is crucial for any aspiring penetration tester. We hope this guide has equipped you with valuable insights and practical knowledge to tackle your next interview with confidence. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and consider subscribing for more content on cybersecurity and related topics. Your support helps us continue to provide you with valuable information. Thank you for watching.